Okay. All right, ready? You're gonna lean back. All right.
My foot up.
Like,
Hey everyone, Dr. Todd from Gonstead Spine and Wellness. Today we're going to go through a training, kind of simulation type thing of how we take a patient through our initial assessment, our initial workup on the first visit in the clinic. We're doing this with Chey over here. Chey's going to be our patient, and Chey's part of our team. This is the rest of our team here. We have Sierra, who's back. Yay, Sierra. We have Jenna, we have Chey, and we have Helena. And we're all going to go through this training, and then behind the camera over here is Dr. Zach. He's being our videographer. Thanks, Dr. Zach, for holding the camera. He's the holding the camera guy today. But anyway, before we get started, make sure if you haven't subscribed to our channel, make sure you hit the subscription button, the subscribe button, like the video, comment below, let us know what you'd like to see more of, or if you have any comments as we go, please comment. That's very helpful for us. And what else? We serve two different audiences. We take care of our community, our patients, those that want to learn about health and wellness and how to stay healthy for a lifetime. So that's one of our audiences. Check out the info below to find out how to get into our clinic if you want to do an assessment here, if you want to do a workup. We have patients that drive in from other states, right? Yes. We do. Mm-hmm. See? All right. And we have patients that fly in. We've had that before too. And we have a lot of local people here that also come and see us. The second audience that we take care of is we serve chiropractors. We teach them how to put a lot of these methods and systems into their clinic as well. It's called Move Now University. You can see the website below. Check that out. And with that said, we're going to get rolling on our day one new patient assessment process. So come along. Okay, so before we get started, this is the only thing I'm going to say to the camera out there, because the rest of this, we're doing this real time so that you can experience this as a patient, because you are the newest to our team and you have not gone through an official new patient workup yet, okay. Which is important, right? Right? Yeah. Okay or no? No, you haven't, yeah, right?
I haven't, no.
Okay, so first off, we're wearing our casual clothes because this is a training. Just so if you're wondering, why is this chiropractor wearing a t-shirt that says, "Get over it," which I think I got this from Derek or something back in the day. Oh my gosh, yeah, it was like a birthday present or something. But anyway, I wore it in honor of Derek. So Derek, if you're watching this out there, we miss you. Hope you're doing well. All right, Chey, how are you doing?
I'm good, how are you?
Nice to meet you. I'm Dr. Todd. This is Jenna.
Nice to meet you.
All right, so what's going on with you?
I have some neck pain and left shoulder pain.
Okay, how long has that been going on for?
My neck pain's been going on for a long time, probably like 5 or 6 months, but the shoulder is pretty recent.
Okay, did something happen with the shoulder? Did you have a trauma or an injury?
Not that I know of, no.
Just woke up one day and it was hurting?
Yeah, I think it's from sitting at a computer all day.
Okay. All right. So first off, before we jump into this too much, curious, have you been to a chiropractor before?
I have. Mm-hmm.
All right, recently or a long time ago?
It was about 2 years ago.
Okay, how was your experience?
It was good.
Good.
I felt like it did a lot for me.
Cool, awesome. Have you had X-rays of your spine before?
No.
Okay, so last chiropractor you saw them but didn't have any X-ray? Mm-mm. Okay. All right, so let's get back to this. So neck, that's your primary concern, 5 to 6 months, yeah. And then that left shoulder, would you say the left shoulder is barking at you louder than the neck? Is that more of an issue?
Well, it's like, I think my shoulder's more of an issue right now because I focus on it because it's newer, but okay. The neck's been there for a while. Got it.
Okay. And by the way, something we're going to do is gather a bunch of different symptoms or complaints that are going on with you, and then we're going to dive into it in more detail. What I'd like to do is just get the main reason why you're here today. And then if it's okay with you, I'll explain a little bit about what we'll plan to do with you today to see if we can help you. And then Jenna sitting over here, I always forget to talk more about Jenna. Sorry, Jenna. So okay. Jenna is my assistant, and she helps with everything in this process. So I'll turn this over to Jenna in just a minute. She'll go through, ask you a bunch of questions, and then we'll go back and we'll do an exam today, and then we'll determine from that point if we think you're in the right place and if we can help you. And so before we get into that, any other major issues going on besides neck and left shoulder?
I had surgery on my right knee like 2 years ago, and it kind of gives me some issues whenever I'm working out, like running. I can't run for as long as I used to be able to run, and lifting, like working out my thighs and stuff, that gives me issues. So.
What was done to your knee for the surgery? Do you remember?
I just had some like tissue taken out of it because it was just like hurting.
Okay. So was it a lateral meniscus that they said? Was it an ACL?
I think it was more meniscus.
Okay. All right. Anything on the inside of the knee or just the outside?
I could not remember.
Okay. So like when they went in, it was on the outside that they went in, I'm guessing, with a little hole, and they did a scope?
They had 3 different incisions, 2 on the outside and 1 on the inside.
Okay. Got it.
Or 3 small holes.
3 small ones. Okay. All right. We'll ask more questions about that here in a little bit, but for right now, the knee, anything going on with your low back or your pelvis or your hips?
My hips, when I run, I'm a distance runner, and my hips get pretty achy after like 4 or 5 miles. And then they just hurt for a couple days, like after really long runs.
So in the past, had you been able to run further and not have that achiness?
No.
No, so always you felt it at 4 to 5 miles?
Yeah, I've always felt the pain. After like, I'd say 3 to 5 is right when the pain starts to, when I notice it. And then after that, it's just like, I deal with it. That's why I would go to the chiropractor before, is for my hips.
Okay, and doing that helped? Did it help you run further without pain, or what?
It helped me kind of deal with the pain, like it lessened the pain, if that makes any sense.
Sure. Okay. All right. Anything going on with your low back, like right at the belt line, like in the center of the low back?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anything as far as numbness, coldness, or weakness? Do you have your hands ever fall asleep? Your feet ever get really cold?
Well, my feet are always cold, just in general. But yesterday, I noticed with my shoulder pain, if I would put pressure or like apply pressure to where like the pain was coming from, my hand would like hurt and kind of get numb for a short amount of time, and it was hard to like lift some things, just like normal things.
Okay. So it sounds like what you're telling me, there are definitely some signs of nerve irritation and stress to parts of your spine and your nerves. The fact that you can compress here and feel something refer into your hand, the fact that you have coldness in your feet, those are all things that we'll definitely dive into and investigate further. But before we get into that, because I'm going to hand this off to Jenna in just a sec, if it's okay, I'll explain what we'll look at today, okay?
Yep.
And really how this works. So this is a little spinal unit, meaning this is like a cutout of the low back. I know that a lot of your complaints are up higher. The bones up higher are smaller, but it's the same type of relationship where there's a bone, there's a disc, there's another bone, a nerve comes out in between, spinal cord runs down the middle. Now this is a very degenerated spinal model. So meaning, I don't expect your spine to look like this, I hope it doesn't. This is something that happens over time when someone doesn't fix a spinal problem, is that it breaks down prematurely and develops arthritis. So this stuff is preventable, okay? So now with that said, with trauma, the bones in the spine can shift out of alignment, it shifts backwards. That's called a subluxation. Have you heard that word before?
I have, yeah.
You have, okay, good. So a subluxation is kind of like a dislocation, only smaller, and oftentimes there'll be associated swelling with that, and then the swelling can irritate the nerve, okay? Depending on where the nerve goes dictates what kind of symptom you may have. So real quick on here, the way your body works is your brain controls everything. And it does that by sending energy down through your spinal cord. It comes out through the nerves, connects to your organs. So your organs are totally dependent on the energy in your spine and your spinal cord to keep you alive and healthy. So what happens is that when you have a subluxation, it acts like a dimmer switch on the wall. So let's say it's in your lower neck. Let's say you have a subluxation right in there. That shuts down the energy. It turns it down. It can't get through from the spinal cord out the nerves into the organs as well as it should. And so over time, the organs can actually weaken, degenerate, even create a disease process out here. That relationship exists with the entire spine, with everything. Anything is possible because it's all driven by nerve control. Okay, so all of these organs out here are totally dependent on the health and function of your spinal cord and your spine. So as you can see, your spine and your good upright alignment, which is called posture, really affects your overall health, right? You can see that, okay? So for that reason, Jenna's gonna ask you more questions to see if anything else is going on from like an ache or pain or nerve standpoint. So she's gonna ask you a bunch of questions. She's also gonna start asking you questions about overall function, organ function, and now you know why, okay? The last thing that I'll say before I hand it over to Jenna is that most subluxations don't cause any pain at all. So by the time you're in pain, it means the nerve's inflamed and your body's in a crisis. So right now in your neck, you're in crisis mode. And we have to figure out if we can help you, if this is something that is a chiropractic type of case. And if so, we will take you through the process of figuring this out and then letting you know what to expect and what your options are. Okay?
Sounds good.
Sound good?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So I'm going to hand this over. Jenna's going to take over. She's going to ask her questions.
All right, Chey. So let me see. Tell me more about the neck pain. It started 5 to 6 months ago. Did something happen? You said you just woke up and your neck was bothering you?
I think I just slept on it weird,
Okay.
or slept weird that night. And I've noticed when my neck starts to hurt a few hours after I notice it, I get like a really bad headache.
Okay, so headaches increase with the neck pain. And how often would you say that you get headaches? Once a week, once a month, a couple times a week?
A couple times a week.
Okay.
Maybe like 2-3 times a week.
Good. Any other symptoms that you've been experiencing that we haven't talked about today? Okay, I always like to tell patients, I know we cover a lot, so if there is anything that you think of throughout today, tomorrow, any other visit when you're here, if you remember anything, always let us know. It's just good for us to document everything. But other than that, we're ready, so let's head on back and get started on your exam.
Cool. Sounds good.
Okay, I'm gonna have you follow me right this way. So let's see. I see you're wearing leggings. Do you happen to have any metal, any buttons on those leggings at all? Awesome. Okay, we're gonna grab you a gown. I'm gonna have you follow me right back this way. And as you saw on the tour, this is our exam and x-ray room. So you can come right over here. I'm gonna step out and let you get changed. You're gonna put this gown on. It has buttons. The buttons will go in the back. If you're wearing a bra or a sports bra, that needs to come off so you're completely bare so the doctor can access your back. Your leggings are good to stay on, and then I'll have you take your shoes off as well. I'll step out, let you get changed. As soon as you're ready, just prop that door open, okay?
Sounds good.
Awesome. Alrighty, okay. All right, Chey, so I'm gonna start by getting your blood pressure. Okay, I'm gonna start next by testing your reflexes. Next, we're gonna do dermatome testing. I'm gonna run this pinwheel down both sides of your body, and you're going to feel for differences on the surface of your skin from side to side. Next, we're gonna move on to muscle strength. So for these tests, I'm testing muscle equality side to side. So we're just making sure that all those muscle groups are firing the same. The last part of this exam, we're gonna do range of motion. So I'm gonna have you stand up. I'm gonna do a few more tests. These are called orthopedic tests. So I want you to turn and face the x-ray machine, whole body. Awesome, okay, so that completes my portion of the exam. Dr. Todd will be in shortly and then he'll complete the rest, okay? And then we'll get going on those x-rays, all right?
Sounds good.
Awesome.
All right, so the way this works, this instrument measures temperature from side to side. I'm gonna run this down your spine. If it gives me a certain reading, it tells me where you could have irritation at that level. possibly to the joint, to the nerve. This is how you can watch the whole process. We put a little GoPro on here. How cool is that? Pretty cool. All right, and then I'm gonna mark you with a skin marking pencil if I find something. And if anything's uncomfortable, let me know. This will feel just like 2 fingers running down your spine. And like I said, I'm gonna go over the same area multiple times. Okay. Right. Looks like there could be a little something up top. Yeah, you definitely have some pressure up top. I'm not going to mark you there because you have a big red line in your hairline, but we'll just keep note. So Jenna, there's going to be a reading at least upper cervical. And then I'm going down the spine. Pretty decent break there, lower neck. It's coming out. Sometimes it'll take 3-4 times before we start to see a pattern of where that little needle breaks. But I'm gonna mark this up, breaks over to the left, and then we're gonna keep going. I'm gonna go in sections of the spine first. Okay, there's another one. We correlate that with what we see with muscle tone, muscle splinting, which means like little areas of muscle that are contracted around the joint, which is usually a protective mechanism. And then we'll stand you up and look at your posture, and essentially we're building a case. We're building a case of this is where we think there's a problem in your spine. Okay. And then once we determine where we think those areas are, we have them marked up, we count down to them, count up to them, we identify what segment of the spine it is, we make note, and then we tape little BBs that we have over here in a tray. We tape those BBs on the surface of your skin. And the reason for that is when we take an X-ray, they show up on the X-ray like a little white dot, and it correlates over between the hands-on exam findings that I'm doing now and your structural findings that we will see on the X-ray.
Okay.
Okay, and that gives us a super complete overview of what's going on with a person. So as you can see, so far we are going to leave no stone left unturned. All right?
Okay.
And believe it or not, on our follow-up from this, because it's looking like so far, this is definitely something I'm going to recommend for us moving forward and getting X-rays of you and doing a full workup. And typically, after we analyze all this and study it on a follow-up visit, because it just takes too much time to go through this on one day, and it's, I think, helpful for you and for us to be able to, one, for you to take a break between this and the next part, and two, for us to evaluate the X-rays. But the next part that we do on a subsequent visit is we do a functional movement assessment. And doing a movement assessment kind of digs deeper into some of the things that you did today with Jenna, like where you bend over and touch your toes, and you extend backwards, and you rotate, and you bend your head and neck around. We get in way more detail with that to find out why some things could be uncomfortable or dysfunctional.
Okay.
Okay. Because Jenna told me that your toe touch pattern looked like a 90-year-old man. So, is that true?
I've been told that before.
You have been told that before? Oh, man.
Yeah.
Okay, well.
I think I've only touched my toes once.
Jeez.
Coming up. Yeah.
Well, there's some cool stuff that we can look at with you on that. That is a very telling pattern, and it can uncover some other more deeply rooted issues that are going on. Yeah, sorry I keep going over the same area so many times. I know this is not too bad. It's not like I'm rubbing your skin raw, but I had a spot in here I was really trying to identify, and it's finally coming out right in here. So I'm gonna take this from you. I'm gonna dig a little deeper here now. Okay, so I'm gonna check movement of your neck. That's the first thing we'll look at. Let me put this down. If anything's uncomfortable or hurts, let me know. I'm gonna tip you side to side. So I'm tipping you, Go down to C2.
Ooh,
Tender.
a little tender.
Tender here on that left
Yeah.
upper. Okay, so left C2, Jenna. Tender on the left.
Oh, yeah, tender.
Not really too restricted though. You actually feel like you move a lot in your upper neck, which I'm guessing just looking at your posture, what's likely gonna happen, we're gonna find, is you'll be more restricted and dysfunctional in your lower neck and more compensatory, like moving excessively in your upper neck. With how your posture is projected, where your head comes forward, and then the fact that you feel so flexible in this upper neck, that's likely what's going on. And believe it or not, this is one of those cases where flexibility and ability to move so much is not necessarily your friend. It can lead to something called instability, which means a joint moves too much and then it's more prone to injury because there's not enough protection.
Okay.
Okay, this is all stuff that we'll explain, and I'm just somewhat assuming based on what I'm finding right now, but once we go in and we get x-rays of you, which we'll do some bending x-rays where we actually bend your head down and extend your head back and x-ray you in both directions to see what's going on with those individual segments. I'm gonna stand here and I'm gonna go through and check movement. I'm gonna isolate this a little bit better. Okay, yeah, so this really,
It's a little tender on the left.
yeah, well, and up here on the right, I don't know if you feel this, but your right upper cervical, your right atlas is way more restricted. So I'm gonna bend your head down. That locks your lower neck, that takes that out of the equation, and then I'm gonna have you turn, okay, and turn the other way. Okay, so you left rotate further, so ASRA, okay. I'm essentially trying to figure out how this joint in your upper neck is likely restricted based on how it's moving. The first bone of the neck is a ring like this. Mm-hmm. It's stuck on the right, and then it rotates more forward on the right. So it's gone what's called ASRA. So that's the way your right atlas, that right first bone, is likely going to match up on the x-ray. We look at this on exam first, and then we check our work on x-ray to see what the x-ray shows us, and this is how we figure out how to put you back together again.
Alrighty.
All right, so I would say C7, T1 are both fairly restricted in this cervical thoracic junction, so right in here. Is this tender at all in here if I push on those bony prominences?
Oh, that's tender right there.
How is it down there on 2?
Yeah.
And then 3, where you had a reading.
Not as bad as.
And then 4.
It's a little tender.
So 7, 1, 2 is bad, 3 is bad, 4 not so bad, 3. So that's 1, 2. So you said 3 is bad.
Oh, yeah.
4 not as bad.
Not as bad, but bad.
Okay. So as I trace my hand down your spine, I fall into a pit of swelling from here to here, and it gets a little shallower right at T4. So that edema, that swelling is, I agree, at T2 and T3. So T2, T3, 4, 5. So here in your mid-back and your thoracic spine, I'm not really doing as much motion to figure out what's going on. I'm doing more palpating. So I'm tracing my fingers along your spine, and I'm looking for any sort of little indentation where my finger falls in. And right there it falls in, there. So there, let's just compare and see. Compare that one
It's not.
to that one.
It's a little more tender.
Yeah. Okay. So Jenna, that's 1, 2, 3. Yeah, actually 3. I marked that a little low. So 3. 7. Little something there too.
Yep.
Less there, more there.
Yeah.
Bend forward a little bit for me. T11. And bend you back a bit.
That's pretty tender.
It's your 5th lumbar. 4 is bad too. So is 3. Less on 2. Okay. All right. Let's see here. Yeah, 5 is worse. We'll flag 5. What I'm gonna have you do with your feet over there, you're gonna put your feet and your knees together, and you're gonna take your knees and you're gonna go out, in with your knees. I'm gonna check how your pelvis is moving, and I'm gonna get an idea of what's going on with the joints between your pelvis and your tailbone, which are called your sacroiliac joints. Okay? So I'm just assessing how these are moving as you're doing the little butterfly motion. And then we're gonna go right side only. So just the right leg. Okay, then left leg. Yeah, your right side is way more restricted. Okay, so right side is not really moving independently from your sacrum and your pelvis when you move. It's just fixated and pulls over. So right side, we're gonna flag. Just curious, let's dig a little bit tenderness-wise.
Oh, yeah, sorry. That's a little tender too.
Compare on both sides.
The right one's a lot worse though.
Okay, right's more restricted. I agree, both are a bit swollen. The right one is a bit more. Let's have you stand up for me.
Okay.
I'm gonna pull this up about waist height, okay?
Okay.
Because I need this tight so I can take a look at your posture and actually see what's going on. I'm gonna pull this tight too, okay?
Okay.
All right, so I'm gonna have you back up towards me in just a bit. All right, space your feet apart a hair. That's good. Yep, that pelvic width apart. Good, just look straight forward in front of you. Something you can do to make this a little more accurate, close your eyes, shrug your shoulders, nod your head up and down a couple times, and then open your eyes and go back to a normal neutral position of what you feel like is comfortable. Got it? Mm-hmm. Okay, so Jenna, first thing, severe left pelvic rotation. So your pelvis should be like this. You rotate this way quite a bit. Okay, I'm gonna put my hands on the bottom of your pelvis, okay? So right ASIN. So I'm looking at the shape of your pelvis, like what each glute is doing, and that gives me an idea of how your pelvis may be aligned. We're gonna take note on this before we take X-ray so we can match it up and see if we're accurate. And then you look short on the right. And high left shoulder. Right head translation, big time, okay? So that's your episternal notch, that's the center of your rib cage. If we draw a line straight up, nose is in midline, head tips and shifts over. She's got a left rotation of the head. So right translation, left rotation. Anterior shoulders, both of them. I'm gonna pull your shoulders back just a bit. I wanna see how the glenohumeral joint or the shoulder joint itself moves. Both of them are very restricted. I'm gonna unclip you so I can take a look at your posture without these clips in the way. All right. Looks like a right thoracic translation. Not totally convinced on the short right leg, but it looks like there could be a short right leg. We'll put a question mark next to it. And definitely a bit of a either thoracic extension or a posterior thoracic translation, and then a forward head translation and an upper thoracic hyperkyphosis. Okay, so let's look at a couple more things. I want to look at your feet and your knees. So just stand comfortably. Back up a bit for me. All right, that's good. All right, left foot is more pronated than the right. Right one looks pretty neutral. Left one's more pronated. Slight left external rotation of the foot. And valgus knee, ever so slight, looks a bit worse on the left. Okay. And I said left posterior pelvic rotation, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, you see it all the way in your hands and how your hands are placed on your body. Your hands are like this. I'm exaggerating, but
Okay.
okay. I mean, there's multiple telltale postural issues that are coming up with you, but yeah, you're very shifted to the side. You may be surprised on how we see this on the X-ray. So then next step, what we're gonna do is tape some BBs on the spots that I marked up. We'll take X-ray of you. And then the plan will be to analyze the x-rays, figure out what's going on with you, get all our ducks in a row so that we can then go through this with you on a subsequent visit. So let's have you come and have a seat over here. And we're gonna get some BBs on you.
Okay, so I'm gonna put these BBs on your back here. I have large BBs that I put on the spots that Dr. Todd marked up where he found inflammation in your spine. And then I have smaller BBs, like actual BBs from a BB gun, that I put on freckles, moles, any scars, basically just to paint like a blueprint of your back. During the adjustment, Dr. Todd is looking at the x-rays up on the monitor, and while he's adjusting you, he's looking at your skin. So for him, it's another way to be extra specific in adjusting those segments where he found readings. And he will scope every time you are adjusted before you're adjusted.
Okay.
But for us, this is a way for specificity. Okay, good. And then I put one BB under your left ear. This acts as a marker for us, so we always know which side is your left when we're looking at those x-rays afterwards. Alrighty, we are all set to go. Let's go ahead and get these x-rays done. Chey, so I'm gonna have you come stand right over here. You're gonna place your butt right against this plate. Don't lean into it because this will move, but I always want something touching back there. Okay. And then there's a red line you're going to see on the ground here. Let me get this on. Okay, so that red line, I want you to center your feet about pelvic width apart. Good. Bring your feet in just a smidge. Perfect. Okay. I'm just checking your heels, making sure that they are lined up properly. Next, I'm gonna feel for your pelvis. And then this bucky back here, I drop it about an inch below the base of your pelvis. Okay, next I'm gonna have you put your arms up to the side a bit. Okay, and I'm matching up this red laser to the center line on our bucky back there. Great. You can drop your hands for a moment, and then next I place these shields to cover any sensitive or vulnerable tissue. Good. Alrighty, that looks great. We're all ready. So keep those knees locked. It's important to stand very, very still. Arms out to the side just a little bit. Perfect. All right, Chey, stand nice and still for me. Don't move. I know.
Yeah, come over here.
Behind, yeah. All right, hold still, don't move. You can relax. Alrighty, good. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and point your finger for me. Do this to mark the light. Okay, and then look up, lift your chin just a little bit. Okay, go ahead and drop your hand and you can look straight forward. And feel this move right behind you. Good. Again, putting these shields up to protect any sensitive tissue. Good. Okay, now look straight forward. Open your mouth nice and wide. I'm gonna lift your chin just a smidge. Open as wide as you can. Good. Hold that for me nice and still. Don't move. Hold still. Okay. Go ahead and close. Great. Okay. Next, go ahead and relax. I'm gonna have you turn and face this wall over here.
Okay.
Okay, good. Thank you. Thanks, Dr. John, appreciate that. Alrighty. So next I'm gonna have you stand with your shoulder touching this plate over here. You never want to lean, always walk your feet over so we stay as straight and tall as possible, okay? All right, good. I'm gonna feel your feet over here. Bring this foot back. You will feel my hand behind you a little bit more. Good. And then bring this foot forward just a smidge. Good, right there. And actually bring this back just a little bit. Good, right there is perfect. All right. Okay, Chey. Last thing that we're gonna do, I'm gonna have you bring your arms up into a relaxed prayer position. Whole point of this is to get your arm out of the shot of your spine. Arms out a little. Okay, that looks great. I'm gonna have you bring your arms down one time. Many times when patients bring up their arms, they like to lean back or forward or squeeze their shoulders. That's not what we want. So whenever you're ready, nice and slow so you don't move anything else at all, bring those arms up super slow. Great. With those arms up, take a side step over so your shoulder touches that plate. Remember not to lean. Great. Go ahead and relax your arms.
That's a pretty shot.
Good. Okay. Okay, look straight forward still. Marking the light, making sure I have just enough overlap. You're gonna feel this guy move. Okay. Feet still look good. Putting this up again. Alrighty. Go ahead and bring those arms up for me. Great, still touching over there. Alrighty, hold nice and still, don't move. Hold still. Okay. Relax your arms. Perfect, plenty of overlap. We are in good shape there. Okay, so for our next two shots, you're still gonna stand that way facing this wall. But the next two x-rays we're going to take are going to be bending x-rays of your neck. So let me just get this set up. Alrighty, stand so your shoulder touches there. Just like to get this mostly into place. Okay, look straight forward. All right, go ahead and bend that head as far forward as you can and really push it. I know it might be uncomfortable for just a second. All right, hold that nice and still, Chey. Don't move. Hold still. Go ahead and relax.
Oh, sorry, not the next trigger point.
Okay. Alrighty, second to last one. Next, you're going to extend your head as far back as you can. Make sure your shoulder's touching over there so you don't move. Actually, look straight forward for me. I'm gonna have you take a small step backwards. Make sure shoulder's touching. Extend your head all the way back as far as you can. Really push it. Okay. Hold still, don't move. Relax. Okay. And then last one, Dr. Todd mentioned taking, we're gonna do a lateral cervical chin tuck. So, stand still facing this wall, that's good. All right, go ahead and make that double chin for me. As far back as you can. Stand still, don't move. Okay, go ahead and relax.
And then always pull pants down slightly. Because people will go in.
Let's see the AP. And the lateral.
I love taking X-rays, it's so much fun. See you later, YouTube.